well over 100 of these now.
Wow, that's
How
amazing.
time flies, huh?
Yeah.
And they just keep getting better and better. And with the speakers we got coming on for Sales Mastery, we're going to start adding them on, and our sponsors like you. It's going to be an exciting closeout to the year because we need it. We need it. It's been a challenging 3 years, admittedly. We all know that, right? Right? So I'd love to see. Thank you for the reactions. If you don't know where they are, at the bottom of your screen, love reactions. This gets us pumped up. This lets us know you're actually listening, lets us know what you like, dislike, what you want to learn more about. And this is live. This is not Memorex. So if you have questions for myself or Kristen or anything on how to implement some of these strategies, where the market is, I'm always pretty good about letting you know where the market is. I follow it thanks to Barry Habib and Dave Savage and the rest of the crew. Always in the know, but the reactions help us know what's going on. And then ask your questions in the chat. Let us know you're engaged and paying attention. I see a lot of our regulars and some newbies on here. I like it. You attracted some newbies there, Kristen. So I'm going to tee up things. All right, Kristen, if you don't know Kristen Messerli, you need to, because our goal with Momentum Builder has always been to add value to our community. That's where Momentum Builder started. That's why we've now teamed up with Todd Duncan and brought back Sales Mastery. We all need community. We all need people that give back and help us succeed in the mortgage and real estate industry. And Kristen's one of the best at doing that. She created a nonprofit that is something all of us need to know more about and be involved with. And it helps build business at the same time. So, Kristen, you built a beautiful thing, and we would like, I'm going to let you tell about it so I don't step on what you've built over the last few years, because it keeps advancing and improving and getting better and better. And that's why I'm glad you're on the call today. So explain a little bit about what First Home IQ is all about.
Yeah, so just a little context. I've worked with lenders and companies and just reaching younger, underserved communities for a lot of my career. And there was a couple years ago when Dave Savage and I had been talking for many years about how we could come together as an industry to bring financial education to our communities in a way that does support people being the educators, the central piece of their community, build business that way, but also bring meaningful impact. And one of the things that I found, I started my career as a social worker and did a lot of financial education, just seeing how hugely impactful education could be in changing the trajectory of someone's life. And knowing that education is such a huge factor in building business strategy in today's market, where young consumers are distrusting, they don't have the education, they don't feel confident in their own knowledge about buying a home. There's just so much anxiety about a first-time home buyer actually taking those steps to buy a home, that's where we saw there's this huge opportunity that fills two needs. It's one, bringing real impact to consumers that need it, and also helping you generate new business with people that are otherwise kind of avoiding that space. So that's the premise behind First Home IQ, is that we are a nonprofit coming together as an industry to solve for the financial literacy crisis. And we do that in a couple different ways. One, as a nonprofit, we are going into schools and nonprofits and sharing free curriculum, courses, materials for them to educate the next generation. And then the other piece of that is, as an industry, we give presentation materials, marketing resources, anything that someone would need to be an educator in their community. And there's kind of a free resources around that. And then there's a paid program that fully funds our ability to give those free resources to schools and nonprofits. And that's called our ambassador program. So that is what Don is a part of, and others on this call. And so if anyone is interested in learning more about that, you can go to firsthomiq.com/ambassador. But there's a lot of programming and work we put into that to just really support people in reaching first-time home buyers.
And thanks for the clarifying what all this is. And it's evolved so much since you started. And what's really nice, Kristen, is to be, and I knew Sonia would throw that up in no time. Thank you, Sonia. She's the best. Super fast. Whew. But the ambassador program, what's really nice is you make it attainable. It's not over the top. It's not something you're like, wow, I got to sell my car to go be a part of. It's very attainable. It makes you feel good about it. But the resources you provide to be an ambassador is over the top. Like it because it's a nonprofit. It all goes back to education, all goes back to helping you educate more because it is a true nonprofit to help. And I think it's more important than ever. So we have a couple of team members. Unfortunately, one of them I was hoping would be in the call, but she had an appointment at this exact same time that is really creating business right now. Basically, you can give me a thumbs up if you believe that we do not have enough business in our industry right now, just because there we go. It's a fact. There's just not enough business for all of us. So therefore, what we try to do with Momentum Builder, Kristen's group, is provide opportunities so we get our market. You can, it's a bummer. Yes. Is it depressing at times? Yes. But there are people that are absolutely crushing it right now, and they're using this as an opportunistic time to grow their market share and grow their business because I know a lot of our competition, you'd be surprised how many have only done like one transaction the entire year. I'll have to find these. I wrote some notes down, but basically, if you did something like well, I think 1 million over 1 million a month. And on average, you're in the top 25% of all originators. So what we want to do is share today how Kristen's platform is helping you create business because you have to create business, but it's also helping you with what we all say we do, which is help with the dream of home ownership. That's what we talk about. Do we really do 28 and 33% of the transactions being done are first home buyers. So right now, in my opinion, I'll let you answer to this, Kristen, because it was one of the things you hit on when I asked for notes and stuff, is without a doubt. So a lot of you are afraid, and this is a great statement. Please hear this out because a lot of you are nervous about AI. AI is going to take our jobs. Actually, I am finding out that AI is going to help all of us because we already got, at first everybody was into social media, email campaigns. Well, email campaigns went out the window because everybody knows a lot of it's spam, so they don't pay attention to it. And then it was social media campaigns. Now that's becoming noise. And now with AI, it's actually adding distrust because nobody trusts what's out there. So therefore, they need us again. They
Oh, you keep cutting out.
because now when you talk to people, and Kristen, you can answer to this as well, they're excited to talk to a live person versus trusting in either AI or online and all that. They're like, I don't know who's telling what's the truth. I've been referred to, or I see you post good stuff. I know you're trying to help me and so forth. Do you agree that AI is actually helping us in this regard?
So I think AI does a lot of different things for us, for and against, I think there's one thing that came up in I've surveyed millennial and Gen Z consumers every year, and our last 1,000-person survey a few months ago saw that I think it was 35% said that they went to ChatGPT to learn about home buying information. And I think that, as you said, that there is a level of distrust that comes with that, but there's also a level of personal empowerment that comes with that. And someone who is actually able to clarify some of their information. So I think instead of going against that and saying you can't trust anything on there, you can't trust anything on the internet, or you can't trust anything on AI, it's like let's look at this together. Ask as many questions as you want with me and also with ChatGPT and whatever resources you have available, and then let's come back and talk about any questions you have. But I think the more that you support consumers in getting the information that they want and need, the more that they're going to trust you. But I will say, I mean, distrust is like the big area I've focused on in my research through the years, and I think it's really interesting to look at how trust has fallen every single year across every industry, especially I started tracking this in 2020, but every year since then, we've seen trust declining in how consumers relate to loan officers. And so I think it was in 2021, we saw that 2 in 3 said they didn't trust lenders to help them make smart decisions about their mortgage. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is horrific, you know? And then now we're seeing that only 1 in 5 trust loan officers to help them make smart
Ow.
decisions about their mortgage. So, you know, it continues to decline, but I do think it creates an opportunity there. I mean, if
Hmm.
you don't feel like there's someone you can reach out to, you don't feel like you feel like there's so much, you know, misinformation out there. And unfortunately, consumers have not been educated themselves. I mean, over 80% in our survey show that they didn't learn any kind of financial literacy in schools. So, you know, they don't feel confident in their own knowledge, then they don't feel confident reaching out to someone. If they see you in their communities, if you show up and you do an event in their local pub or with a partner or in a young professional organization, or you're doing webinars and you show up on their social media, like you stand out as a bright, shining light in what feels like a very dark space. And yes, it's going to take more time because of that distrust. People are going to need to see you continually showing up, but then there's opportunity, you know? So that's where I feel like First Home IQ shows up, where you have the opportunity to be a, you know, an educator and really make an impact with people that feel very anxious and distrusting.
Uh, well said. Well said. And I apologize if every once in a while my mic cuts out. I'm having a little technical difficulties, obviously. So sorry, team. And you're here to listen to about Kristen anyways, and what her
I did go a
platform
little
is.
longer than normal,
No,
knowing
no,
that
no,
you're
no.
probably
It's
restarting.
because
I'm like,
it's
I'll
called
keep going here.
passion. I do the same thing. You get kind of on a roll. So what's really nice, Kristen, is share a little bit. So we all know we should be doing this, and we're always curious on what we should be sharing or posting. But what if you had stuff that was already prepared for you that is professional and has meaning to it that truly adds value to your community? Truly lets people know that you do help first-time home buyers get in homes. You help them educate. You give them financial literacy. Yes, we all know that in schools, they do not teach you how to even balance a checkbook, let alone buy a house. And we know that home ownership is how you build net worth. And the earlier you can start, the more net worth you have. I don't know how many people I know that when you buy a home at 23 and 25 versus the average of 38 now, how much extra net worth they have and how much sooner they can retire if they wanted to. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
it's and tell us how you guys do that because you provided so much. Like right now, you're like, oh, is it just a nonprofit? But no, you provide so many tools. And I don't know if you wanted to share some of those in your
yeah,
slide deck or
sure.
not. That's up to you. And I
Yeah,
think you
yeah.
can share.
No, that'd be great. So first of all, to your point around the net worth, let me just pull up a slide here.
I
Um,
like this slide, by the
oh, I
way.
have to,
I know what you're gonna pull up.
yeah, I know. I requested to share my screen. So, um, but I mean, we know the average age of the first time home buyer is extending. You know, I mean, the it had been in the low 30s for years and years, and then just recently, since 2020, we've seen that rise up to last year being 38, and I've heard recently it's even higher this year. So, but I can't share my slides, so the just so you know, I
Sonia
sent in
could
the
probably,
request, but.
yeah,
Um,
Sonia can make that happen, I'm sure.
but the wealth gap is so significant between renters and owners, and I do think that renters need to know about that. Like that's something that we need to be talking about. The fact that, and one thing I will say is that a lot of people, I think there's a huge segment of the market that just feel like they are totally, home ownership is not attainable for them. You know, I mean, we
Yeah.
saw that 95% of Gen Z and millennial renters said they want to be homeowners, but 35% think that it's just a dream. And so, you know, we saw stat after stat in this last report talking about how they don't feel it's attainable. They, you know, and I think one thing, if we could talk about more about affordability strategies, about lower down payment options, about things like that, that would allow for us to be able to get those people in the door. Because again, like people that are maybe anxious about money, huge portion of the population, no matter how much they make. Also, people that are just feeling like they've missed the boat around homeownership. That is a huge, thing that's preventing people. So I feel like with First Home IQ, we've recently started talking more about how do you talk about house hacking? How do you talk about affordability strategies, down payment assistance, things like that, that are like, even if someone doesn't use those strategies, it's allowing them to listen. Like for me, when I was thinking about buying a home, I just had in my head that I was never going to be able to own in Los Angeles. That was just,
Right.
so like never attainable. And I had recently sold a business. I had plenty of income, and yet it was stuck in my head that that was not attainable. And it wasn't until I saw a rent versus own analysis and I saw there was like a couple things that looking at the data, it forced me to move beyond that emotional
Kind of
reaction.
makes it a no-brainer, huh? When
Yeah, it
you
made
see a
me
rent
feel like,
versus own, you're like, well, I don't want to pay that for a mortgage. I'm like, well, you're paying a lot more without having the tax advantages, the
yeah,
appreciation, forced savings plan, and all that. When you see it, I love the rent versus own, and any of our team can share with you that that's through Mortgage Coach,
yeah.
and MBS. They both have it. It's amazing when you show the facts and their net worth in 5 to 10 years. It makes it almost embarrassing for them not to purchase.
Yeah, and I think for so many people, there's like this idea of okay, they don't know what they're missing. So yeah, cost of waiting, rent versus own, those types of things are where that is important. But then there's the feeling that they are boxed out, that they don't, that's not even attainable. It's a joke. And so they don't listen. But that's where I think, I mean, we saw in our financial literacy report last year that still 70% said that they thought you needed 10 or 20% down to buy
Yeah.
a home. So like
Right.
just again, misinformation, no matter how much information they have access to, they have it in their head or in their emotions that this is not attainable. So that's the kind of thing that and I'm able to share my screen now.
Yeah,
Um
I'm gonna hit on while you were getting your screens ready. Jim
yeah.
Parker hit a good note, and thank you
Oh
guys
yeah.
for talking in chat and just being engaged and with the reaction and stuff. So Jim, that's a good point because a lot of new buyers think it does feel like delayed gratification. Yeah, I'm not gonna have a real net worth for 5, 10, 15 years, but there's nothing like gratification of owning your own home. Remember, when you rent, you can't paint the rooms the way you want. You can't adjust the kitchen the way you want. You can't adjust the backyard or even have a backyard for that matter. So we just got to turn the script that it's actually not delayed gratification. It's instant gratification because you get to own. There's nothing like home ownership. Has anybody here ever handed the keys to somebody, basically through doing the loan or as a real estate agent, and had the person say, "I wish I didn't do this"? I mean, 99%. You'll get once in a while, you get somebody with a little buyer's remorse, but once they get in the home, they're glad they did it. But I'm glad you brought that up, Jim, because it seems like it because they don't see the future in their net worth growing. But when you're talking a net worth difference of 40x is huge. So I'll hand it back to you, Kristen. Thank you, Jim, for that comment. That was something to hit because that's what they'll say. Oh, I'll just wait till I'm 38, like a lot of the millennials are doing.
I also think we need to change the way we talk about homeownership as if it's something that you need to be. I mean, yes, there's some component of stability, but we've looked at we portray homeownership as the white picket fence, and that's not everybody who's buying homes today. I do think that younger Gen Zers are going to be more interested if you're looking at, showing photos of and talking about what it looks like to buy into a co-buy with people or buy a condo
Mhm.
or like portraying things as not just a someone that is has a family now and has kids and they live in the suburbs. Yeah, that's a certain portion of the population, but just like we're looking at how do we talk about money differently, how do we talk about education differently, we also need to talk about how do we look at home ownership differently. So, yeah, I'll share just, I mean, I mentioned I'd share a little bit about what we're doing with First Home IQ, but so I mentioned I do think that, again, there's this huge wealth gap and I think education plays a big part of that, not just because people don't know the cost of not owning a home, but because they don't know that they could own a home. So that is, a bigger picture around this idea of education is just opening that door. And I do believe that everybody on this call, everyone in this industry has the opportunity to reverse those trends. And when I say reverse the trends, I'm talking about like reverse the trends around education, around lack of confidence, around lack of trust that we talked about. So the way that we're doing that is our mission is around empowering the next generation to achieve sustainable home ownership and build lasting wealth by equipping real estate and mortgage professionals and educators to close that gap in education. So I mentioned we do that through online courses and curriculum for educators. And this year we're on track to educate 40,000 students and teachers through some of our partnerships with nonprofits and curriculum, classes. So super excited. And this is just last year was our first full year where we educated 1,000 students. So we're making a ton of progress through everyone's support. This again only happens through the ambassadors and the people that are making introductions for us. So it's been incredible. And then, as I mentioned, our really core programming is in our ambassador program where we support them in reaching first-time home buyers. So there's over 80 million millennials and Gen Z who are not yet homeowners. And again, I think that there's a really big opportunity here. So we have actually closer to 200 ambassadors now who are part of this community of mission-driven professionals. We do also have a free community. I'm going to share with you links to join both of those, but the ambassador program, it is $200 a month, and you are contributing to all of the nonprofit things that we're doing. And I can share with you some of the strategies that they use, but I'll just kind of quickly run through a few of the things that you have access to. So you get your own leads page, which it's a landing page that includes some of the education and also a First Home IQ quiz. And anyone that takes the quiz, you get emailed their name, email, and results. So it's a really easy way if you do a presentation or you share an email campaign or a social media campaign, or you have a new client, you can have them take the quiz and it starts the conversation. It helps
I
people to
love the quiz. The quiz is
yeah.
very clever. You guys pay attention to this. This alone is worth it right here to get engagement because I even took the quiz. Luckily, I did get 100, but I sent it to a lot of my team. They did not. So this is stuff you need to know.
Yeah, yeah, and we did try to. We just launched this new version of the quiz. We tried to make it a little bit more punchy and like Gen Z-ish, or not even Gen Z language. Like absolutely not Gen Z language. Actually, it's just simplified. So we want people to not to feel comfortable and like it's easy for them to just figure out what questions they have because a lot of times people don't know what questions they have. So this quiz is a good starting point, conversation starter. Oh, we do have I wonder if I have it here. You can take my quiz or Don's quiz, but firsthomeIQ.com/Kristen, you can see what that looks like. Um, and then we have huge presentation library.
Sonia's got it in the chat already.
Oh, nice. Amazing. Sonia's the best. We have a big presentation library that covers everything from basic money management, mindset around money, all the way through buying your first home. And we are releasing this is a new update. We have a new presentation release every quarter. So we'll do a house hacking one coming up, different ones depending on the topic people are interested in. And we have presentation kits. So if you want help with advertising the event, there's social media graphics, Eventbrite graphics, all of that. There's a lot more around marketing, but I'll just kind of briefly mention we have playbooks, strategy, leadership content from top ambassadors, masterminds with top professionals. We have, oh, I don't have it in here, but we have a bunch of
You
social
guys probably recognize a lot of these people. These are the rock stars. And what's nice is they're part of First Home IQ and our ambassadors and supporters. And these are all the rock stars that are giving you valuable insights that normally you'd have to pay for.
Yeah, and we have people contributing their advice and content so that again it's like us coming together. So we put together templates for social media, Instagram captions, things like that. But we also have other people that are contributing their content and saying, "Hey, this is what worked for me. This is, you could feel free to use this email template." So I love that. And I think that's, and actually that leads to a really great, we did an awesome session with Patty Newby and Nicole Ruth, and we had a few others join that talked about their strategies with first-time home buyers and really around house hacking specifically. And so that was an awesome one. I'll drop um, the link to that in the chat, but you can, if you join the free community, firsthomeIQ.com/industry, you will see that in the free resources or events page. Um, so feel free to jump in on that. And then, and then we do have our next one is going to be focused on school outreach. So if anyone does want to go into, high schools, colleges, we have ambassadors who do that because, of course, they really care about giving back in that way, but they're also getting deals. Vikma, who's going to be on this, I was just talking to her and she was like, yeah, I've gotten 2 deals from teachers just from volunteering over the last, like doing a couple of events. And so, you can think again about like impact and income. This really benefits you by showing up in the community because a lot of times people don't have someone that they trust that they can reach out to around that. Um, so anyway, that's we have some awesome partnerships that are involved. FinLocker has donated their technology to our ambassadors, and then we have some lenders who are joining in to get co-branded presentation materials and marketing resources. But yeah, overall, if you're interested in digging in more, I can show you guys the platform. Katie Shive is an awesome leader in our community that has a marketing and lending background with Shayla Gifford, actually. And she does one-on-one sessions with our ambassadors, and she's leading an ambassador session every Monday at 10 a.m. if you want to join that. And yeah, so I'll drop the links to those things so that you guys can have access to that.
Whew, that's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff, and I'm not even showing you half
I
of
know
it.
you went through
Like,
it fast. So anybody, just so you know, I've gone through this presentation a few times. You can get the slide deck and stuff. But basically, there's more than you could ever ask for and more. Like every time I turn around, what's nice is once you're an ambassador, you get great emails, updates, ideas, and so forth. And we all need to imagine creating business and feeling good about it and feeling good about what you're doing for your community and feeling good about helping people get into homes. I know it sounds like a cliche, but it works. But it's also a way for you to create business. There's not, like I said, we're all waiting for rates to go down. How's that worked out for the last 3 years? So right now we have a couple of our team members. So remember, Gino and I are still in the origination business. We run a team that kicks butt. And some of the top team members on our team do first home buyer seminars. And you think, oh, no one's going to show up for that. I know Claudia, I was trying to get her on the call, and this is legit. We can show you pictures. She gets between 60 to 90 people at these events. And she puts usually between 4 to 6 new home buyers into a home with her agent. Imagine handing your agent leads. We all need more agents. I'm sorry. Going after maybe you had 5 at one point that gave you enough leads to make a decent living. How's that working out? Now you need, unfortunately, 30 to 50 real estate agents because they each only have 1 or 2 for the year. So you need more. Imagine being able to give back leads or utilize their databases. And I'm sure Kristen will agree with this, is you get their database and your database and you look at, there we go. This is legit right here. This is how they do it. Her and her agent pack the house and create 4 to 6 deals a month. Do the math on what you make on that. And look at these people. They are stoked. They are getting, they bring stuff like a taco truck in. I mean, they do it right. And these are just some ideas for you. And I know you're getting a kick out of this, right, Kristen? I
I
waited
love
till you took
this.
a
It's so
drink.
good. Yeah.
And just so you know, it's not a huge presentation. It's a lot of Q&A. Everything should go out there. I don't know how to present. I don't know what to present. Kristen gives you all the tools, and they do mostly live Q&A. They answer questions, so everybody in that group feels very comfortable about asking questions, because I guarantee somebody asks a question, it's the same question 80 of them were thinking of, but they just didn't want to ask or know to ask it. And they're like, ooh, that's a good question. Yeah, I'd like to know, can I get down payment assistance program? How does that look? Do I have to pay it back? Do I have to put 10% down, 20% down? No, you can do an FHA loan with 3% down and stack your family members. Did you know you can add family members to it because you probably live with family members? Why not own a home together, and so forth. I'll let you, give us your input on that, Kristen.
Yeah, I actually really encourage people not to just share a bunch of slides. We have slide decks that we've created to kind of help people have visual and that kind of thing. But we also put together presenter guides that include, these slides tell the story or tell ask this question. And if like, hopefully you don't go through all of the slides because the idea is that you're engaging with people.
Right.
We also have a lot of people that just go through, or not a lot of people, but some people have gone just through the quiz itself as the presentation and, had people take it and then go one by one and kind of talk about it because the idea is that you're sparking people to have a conversation. If they talk, if they think about something, they're going to engage with you and they're more likely to really,
Bet you can answer Isabel's question. You're like, yay, thanks for teeing that up.
Oh yeah, of course. We've got we've
I
got a
know you
playbook for
do.
everything actually, but yeah, absolutely a playbook for the seminars. That's what we're putting together a specific playbook next month just on school outreach, like going into a school specifically for that. And we have one just specifically for events and webinars. But yeah, that's the idea is like we want to make it as easy as possible for you to not have to think too much about it and just be like, okay, here's the next step we take. So yeah.
I love that. And great question, Isabel, because everybody's like, I
Yeah.
want to do that, but how do I do it? It is imperative once you get the playbook. So thank you for calling it exactly that. It is easy. Like I said, what Claudia has done is she does a big seminar. They promote it all, for an entire month. And then the next month is they do the seminar on one day. They narrow it down to true home buyers and they ask good questions, just, because a lot of you are like, it's such a waste of time. Not true. If you ask the right questions, you find out of which is say 60, 40, doesn't matter. If you get 20 in a room, doesn't matter. You get a certain conversion and you find out which ones really apply. So you got to be very aggressive. Like Claudia does not like, oh, it's okay. We'll just have no. If you don't have a real job or you're not really willing to enable and wanting to be a homeowner, she doesn't waste her time. She converts those who want to be converted, and then the agent goes out and finds them a home literally the next week. Once Claudia approves them, then her agent, of course, happily goes out and finds them a home within a week while they're all excited. And within 2 months of going to a seminar, 2 to 3 months, they're in a home. Nothing like it. And it's legit. I've seen her do it over and over and over. But she's really made it casual. At first, she thought that it had to be a detailed presentation, all that. Nah, just live Q&A. I'm here to help answer those questions for you to become a homeowner. Like Kristen does, here's the 5 things I know you have questions on. The rest are questions maybe I don't know. And of course, it's do I have to have 20% down? And maybe you have to go to a different area that you didn't think of that's more affordable, but you didn't know it was available. And once you see the homes, like, Kristen, we live in LA. I know you look at the, average sale price is over $1 million. Well, it might be tough for a first time home buyer, but maybe you need to start somewhere. And a lot of people like the Antelope Valley might be the answer. A high desert might be an answer. Riverside County might be an answer. We're putting people in homes, bottom line. So you just have to maybe show them what is available. Like they show up and they're like, hey, a lot of you would like to buy this home. You show, beach home. Of course, everybody wants a $5 million home, but how about something like this? And you show them a $400,000 home in Antelope Valley, and they're like, "Well, that's a beautiful home and a backyard for Johnny and Isabel, haha, Isabel," and you just make them feel the opportunity is there and give them real facts. They show homes like from different ranges, based on their qualification. Could be condos, could be homes, and it could be different areas. So just
Yeah.
that's how you really prepare them versus just going like I love that you said that, Kristen. Just going through a slide deck will put them to sleep. And it looks
Yeah.
like you're not there for the right reasons.
And if you are in California or there's several states that are doing different things, like we have a partner, Crib Equity, who shares in the investments, a shared equity model. And so they invest in the down payment and then they share in the equity on the backside. And that's a great opportunity for someone who can't get into this market. They would have to move away from their friends and family and community otherwise, but they could get into homeownership now. So that's knowing about those types of things and making sure you're equipped with those. It doesn't mean they always need to participate in that, but even talking about that allows people to then say, "Oh, maybe I should listen to this. Maybe it is something homeownership is available to me."
And good point, good point. And to answer your question, Isabel, just to clarify, yes, promotion for a month, making a big deal of it, that home ownership is really attainable. And I would, what's nice is after a while you have proof. Like she says, last month we got 4 new home buyers in. And you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. And they have pictures of them getting their keys, their family, they're all excited and all that, testimonials. But yes, it's promotion for a month, do the event, and that the next month, at the beginning of the month, narrow it down to the top prospects. Usually out of 60, she usually has 22 on average. And then out of those 22, she then does consultations with each one of those, narrows it down. And those who are willing to give her the documentation to get them pre-approved, narrows it down to 5 to 8. And then she puts usually between 4 to 6 in from each presentation, which is a pretty good return. A lot better than those calls, robocalls that a lot of people are doing with Zillows and YLOPO and all that stuff. So it's been very, very advantageous, and we've been doing it at different locations.
We are going to do another session on specifically setting up these events, and so we'll have to bring you in, or someone from your team that is interested in talking about that. But
So can they be involved without being an ambassador in case somebody's just not ready? And what is an ambassador? What does that take? Go ahead and give the real numbers because it's not very much. And there is a monthly to help the nonprofit continue on in providing value and all that. There is an ability to contribute monthly, whether it's a set amount or a percentage, correct?
yeah. So we have some who want to be, ongoing financial partners, and they donate a certain amount of their loan volume. That's very few people, but those donors really support us, being where we are today. And then every ambassador supports, as Don said, all of our ability to continue to make those resources, not just for our ambassadors in the community, but also for teachers and all of that. So that the ambassador program is set at $200 a month. That's the program fee. If some people are like, I am stretched thin, like we don't want finances to be the reason that you can't participate. So we'll do a sliding scale thing, I mean, whatever. If you're like, hey, let's do this for a few months at a lower amount, like just talk to me. Our number one metric is impact. So of course the finances make all of this possible, and we know that this is really well worth the value. But yeah, I'll show you. We're about to update the free resources section. But it does include a lot of like our research. We have free presentation materials in here. We have a lot of our impact master classes. We have AI, a lot of the playbooks and things like that that are available. And then we have, as part of being an ambassador, this is where if you are paying the $200 a month or a percentage, then you have access to the library of materials with
Wow.
slides, worksheets, videos, presenters guides. I had brought up this event checklist. We have playbooks, like I mentioned, for every type of thing that you are like. If you go into the resource library, we focus on what are the areas that you would be educating. Would it be over video, social media, and we have like scripting that
Jeez.
might be helpful, or videos or social media templates, like I mentioned. And so, the idea is like, where do you want to be educating? It's not going to be all of this, but it might be, might be a few of these things, and we want to support you in those areas. So, yeah, but if you join, we always have a trial period. I think it's a 10-day trial right now. And so you can always check it out and then,
Well,
let
I've
us
never
know
seen
what would
so
be
many
helpful.
resources for that kind of dollar investment, without a doubt. If you guys noticed, and I'm going to slow it down a little bit just because what Kristen has is overwhelming. There's so many things. The key with what Christian and First Home IQ is providing is enough resources for you to choose what works for you. Imagine with all the content that Kristen puts out, having something to post on a regular basis that's educational and prepared for you. I mean, you go through, if you saw all the different aspects, getting your first credit card, buying a home, all these things that are educational that they will share with their children or share with their friends or share at the school. These are educational because you're like, what do I post? If you post one more at a time, you can't post rates. Who's going to do that? And you can't. So you got to post something of value. Imagine having it all set up where you can set it up and have your post done for the entire year because there's so much content and you're providing true value and information. And then you have the playbooks, you have education, plus you have all the rock stars in our industry that I know a lot of them that have been on our stage at Momentum Builder and Sales Mastery that are sharing their playbooks. They're sharing how they're getting business and their scripts. A lot of times you're like, I don't know what to say. Imagine it just being given to you. And you can then just swipe and adapt. That's what it's all about. Our ambassadors and the people that are involved, I know most of them are good people. They're givers. And that's what this whole program is about. And I thank you, Kristen, for taking the time, effort to give us this opportunity to create, because nobody in our industry wants to have a nonprofit to add value, but none of us have the time to do it, to do it right anyways. And it's nice that you're fully dedicated to this.
Yeah, yeah. We think of it as being part of your team to make doing this kind of thing easier for you. And some of the strategies that our ambassadors use are, it's coming from the heart. It's definitely like, part of their mission, but it also supports them. So like some of the things that I usually cover and when I'm talking about reaching first-time homebuyers are like, for example, Josh Metal shared a really great why video about why he's an ambassador, but it might be for you, why you're in this business. But, his example was about how like money wasn't talked about at home. It wasn't taught in the schools. Where are we learning about this? And, just sharing that got a lot of engagement because he was really speaking from his heart and being very mission driven around that. So and then we have a lot of people that use the money mindset class just as a tipping point of like, let's talk about the fact that we don't talk about money, and kind of
Hmm.
getting those people that are again more on the anxious side, to have discussions that are not as that they're opening the door to something that is often really vulnerable. Um,
Teach
and
classes with your
then,
partners is brilliant. That's what our team's starting to do more
oh
and more
yeah,
because our agents are looking for business too. Remember, it's not just us that's difficult, having a challenging time. Imagine they don't ever get a refi. So they're looking for any opportunity to build business. And if you can help them do that, and you can get together, 3 or 4 different LOs from your office and their agents and put together one, you're like, I don't know if I can get more than 5 people. Well, each of you bring 5 to 10, all of a sudden you have a full room. So
yeah.
just think about that. We've actually had some LOs that are just building their, clientele list. So therefore they're teaming up together. and they know who they brought and who their agents are and who's on their list and who sent them there and all that. And they play nicely and they all get business. So,
Yeah,
anyways, I just want
another
to tee that up.
cool, yeah, another cool example of that or of partners. We had an ambassador who partnered with her local gym, and so it's a place she goes to, it's a place she knows, and they have the group there already. So they were putting on this health is wealth event, and she was speaking on the wealth side.
Health is wealth. That's good.
Yeah, so smart. And I just thought it was such a good idea to think about the places you attend, your church, your whatever yeah, like
Your
organizations
kids'
you're involved
schools,
in. Kids schools, exactly. That was we had an ambassador, Joe Soto, who had a friend who was a teacher and partnered with him. And all he did was make the introduction to me, and I set up the stuff with the teacher and he showed up, and it was a great way to not just build brand and do something good, but also build network. But yeah, thinking outside the box a little bit about what those partnerships look like, I think are a really great idea. And then the last thing I'd mention is just the social media. Don's brought this up a lot, but like people are going to social media for their information. They're going 40% go to of Gen Z go to social media for homebuyer information. So what are you talking about there? Thinking about like those short informative videos. I mentioned house hacking strategies, but like talking
the
about things.
mortgage nerd,
Oh yeah, she's the best,
Denise
absolute
Donahue.
best. Yeah. So
She'll be on our
her
stage.
Okay, nice. Her and Michael Creed shared some house hacking strategies that were like, this is what, if you talk about this, people are going to listen. And then Todd Bookspan put together a First Home IQ series, and it's not just about like who you're speaking to. Like Todd was speaking mostly to realtors and parents, but it's about like putting that information out there and building community where you have community.
All right, good stuff. So we have 10 minutes, approximately 10 minutes left. So I want to make sure that any of you have any questions. Let's throw out some questions for Kristen while we have her there. I guarantee some of you are like, I wonder how this happens or how I do this or have you done this? Please ask any questions. Troy, you have any questions, buddy? Let's see, I'm looking at Rick. Looking at some of my peeps on the regular calls I can pick on a little bit. How about Joe? Joe's one of my long-term veterans. I won't call old. I'll just call a veteran. But he does a lot of education stuff. Isabel, you ready to do this? And Irma, you're perfect. I know you've been at these events. If you have any comments, throw them in there. Like, I love it that Isabel's, yep, I'm ready. And Isabel, oh, she's going in October. So let's talk a little bit about that because I'm really proud that Kristen and First Home IQ, we're teaming up together at Sales Mastery coming up in October. So I will close out. Don't leave yet because we have a gift for you, a discount code. Because right now, and this is not a self promotion, this is a fact. We all have had a challenging 3 years. There's a few of us that are on these calls that are doing quite well. But there's nothing like community. And doing this on your own the last 3 years has been tough. Imagine being part of a community that's going to lead the charge going into 2026. So we believe 2026 is going to be a great year. So what we want to do is get everybody prepared to close out 25 on fire, like building, for lack of a better term, momentum heading into 2026. And I guarantee you, if you're not part of our community and at the event in October, you're going to be left behind. And I hate that to happen because the people we have on stage, the professionals we have showing up that are going to give you their playbook. I mean, we're literally giving you strategies that are working today. I know you go to a lot of events and go, I've heard them before. I've heard them speak before. I already tired of hearing everybody we're making sure is bringing something fresh. Plus, we're bringing some outside the industry people that are going to help inspire you, motivate you, give you ideas that you did not think of yet, something fresh and new. We all need this right now. And you're going to leave. What's really nice is, Kristen, remember, I think I told you this. We're the only ones that ever done this at an event, but we're going to give you a implementation playbook. After every session,
Love
we're going to
that.
break down the notes for you. So you don't have to take notes. You can actually listen and only write in key notes, and an implementation playbook after it, like an action plan with each session. So when you leave, you can pick out your two, three, or four things that really spoke to you and know what to do with them. Because the problem is, a lot of us go to events and don't change our actions. We don't change what we do. We're going to basically have you be part of our community, and we're going to help hold you accountable so you have your best year ever in 2026. Any comments on that? Any reactions on that? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Sonia, why don't you share the coupon code? Because we really want our members that show up on these calls, that are part of it, it's going to be the best investment. I know you have to fly out to Dallas and you have to be at this event, but I guarantee just night one, you'll go, oh, I'm glad I'm here. The networking is going to be off the top. The people you're going to meet, I always say you never know who you're going to meet that's going to change your life. And I've met everybody on the stage here that you see. I've met. They have changed my life. I mean, we have Todd Duncan and Tom Ferry right off the bat, crushes it. But the rest of the speakers, I promise you, are bringing their A game. And Kristen will be there. So give me a thumbs up. You're going to join us. Come on. There we go. Go a few of you. All right. And I'd like you to get
Oh, you've cut out. But
five right now. From the will be 1295 down the road. So I just want our friends and you here that are on this call to join us, because we're going to have a great time, and it's going to be an experience, not just an event. Any closing comments, Kristen?
no, just that this really is a fantastic event. Super excited to be there and really appreciate you guys, supporting the nonprofit and the work that we're doing together as an industry.
Nice, nice. I just love what you're doing, and that you keep pouring in more and more value and being part of First Home IQ. You're giving us a great platform. Really, even Rick Pinn's going to come join us. There you go, Rick. Plus, it'd be good to have you there. The camaraderie there is going to be worth it. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be high energy, super high energy. We have great vendor sponsors that are joining us. They're actually partners. It's going to be over the top. It's going to be really good. Plus, we start giving you value immediately, right off the bat, because we want to start building your own momentum headed into October. So hopefully we'll see you guys all there. Thank you so much, Kristen, for taking time out of your day to be part of our call, sharing a great strategy to help everybody, create their own business and add value in their community. And then next week, remember this guy. I know he's part of a lot of what you do, Kristen, and Todd Bookspan. Win by Noon, the guy's a rock star. He's in the trenches. He walks the walk, and he's going to share some of his playbook next week, which I'm really excited about. I know he'll be at the event. And other than that, anybody have any other last, closing questions or reactions? Other than that, thank you, Kristen.
Yeah.
You're killing it. Love you and love all you're doing. You guys sign up for First Home IQ. We'll see you in October.